The air is thick with humidity, the kind that clings and doesn't let go. The walls around me are painted dull gray, covered in thin white strips of adhesive tape where they meet at corner saw, patches where paint has chipped away over time. I walk past a window, its glass fogged up from condensation inside, but outside Eton's clear enough to see the foliage pressing against the metal frame. The room is small, cluttered with consoles and screens that blink softly in the dim light. A single monitor on my desk flickers to life as soon as I sit down. The hum of machinery fills the space, a constant reminder of our presence here. I check the status reports. Production levels are steady. Resource extraction quotas met. There is a beep from one of the consoles, and I turn it towards me. A red light blinks beside an entry in the data feed. Eton's nothing urgent, just another maintenance alert for the southeast perimeter fence. My hand moves to my belt, where a small communicator rests. The device is old, but reliable, its casing scratched and worn from frequent use. I press the button, sending out a signal that will be picked up by the central hub miles away. My voice resonates in the room as I speak into it. Auto status update complete. There is no immediate response, so I move on to my next task. The screens show maps of the area. The plant life is dense and overwhelming in places, barely distinguishable from satellite imagery. Eton's hard to imagine anyone could survive out there without the support systems Wahava built here. I adjust a few settings on the central console, tweaking parameters for resource extraction rates based on current supply levels. The numbers are precise, every metric tracked meticulously. A monitor flickers with incoming messages, emails and reports piling up as usual. I skim through them quickly, marking each one with a status update before archiving it. The air conditioning unit rattles above me, its loud hum competing with the soft murmurs of machinery around me. The floor beneath my feet is cold, metal grating that feels worn down from years of use. I can hear water dripping somewhere in the room, echoing against the walls, like a constant reminder of moisture and decay. I reach for another communicator on the desk, this one connected directly to the field teams. Offworld Unit Alpha. Respond. My voice cuts through static, clear but distant. Alpha here, Director Tart. The reply is immediate, sharp, and professional. Are we taught your current status? I ask, fingers tapping against the console keys as I type out a few notes. You are operational, at 85% efficiency. No major issues reported. I nod to myself, even though no one can see me. Acknowledged. I respond back into the communicator, knowing it will be recorded and logged later. The screens around me flicker with new data feeds, each one a different angle on our operation saw. Extraction rates, resource distribution, personnel movements. Everything is tightly controlled, every metric monitored and managed. I sigh quietly to myself as I check another report to our maintenance backlog, for the living quarters needs attention. The systems here are old and outdated, designed more for short-term use than prolonged habitation. Yet we're Andrea here now, making do with what is available. A notification pops up on one of my screens. Another system alert, this time from the central hub. Maintenance required, it reads in stark white letters against a dark background. I note the entry and click through to the maintenance log, adding another task for the day. The air feels heavy as I stand up, stretching slightly before moving towards the door. The hallway outside is dimly lit, with rows of similar rooms lining both sides. Each one echoes with the hum of machinery and the occasional beep or chime from consoles inside. I walk down to the maintenance bay. Tools are scattered around, some neatly organized in bins while others lie abandoned on workbenches. Technician looks up as I enter, his face tired but focused. Are you at your status? I ask him without preamble. We're catching up upon, he replies, nodding towards a stack of repair logs next to him. Several units need immediate attention. I keep them moving then, I say, turning back towards the door. My priority on resource extraction, infrastructure first. His eyes follow me as I leave. But there is no complainta, just another day in the cycle. I head back to my room, the air thickening with each step down the hallway. The consoles and screens await, their soft hums providing a constant backdrop to the work that needs doing. Everything feels familiar yet worn, like this place was never meant to last, but continues to function nonetheless. The day starts with the hum of machinery and the drip of condensation. I check my gear, ensuring every part is in place. Helmet secured, breathing apparatus functioning, environmental suit sealed tight against the dampness. The checklist is routine, but each item demands attention, no room for error here. I move through the corridors, passing others en route to their stations. Our paths intersect briefly, nods exchanged without words. Everyone has a role, and mine is clear. Monitor systems, report anomalies, maintain operational integrity. There's no need for conversation or camaraderie. We are parts of a machine, each cog turning in its place. Entering the control room, I take my seat at the console. The screens light up as I power on the equipment, monitors displaying data streams. Alarms ready to alert me of any deviation from normal parameters. My hands move methodically across the interface, initiating diagnostics and confirming all systems are green. This is where the day begins, in the quiet assurance of operational continuity. Outside, the sounds of the planet filter through my headset, the rustle of leaves, distant animal calls, the occasional splash as water finds its way into low-lying areas. It's a constant reminder that this environment is alive and active, but I treat it as part of the terrain, not something to be revered or feared. My tasks today include routine maintenance checks on critical infrastructure, inspecting conduits for leaks, verifying power distribution across sectors, and monitoring resource extraction rates. Each task has its checklist, each step documented meticulously. There is no room for improvisation. These are requirements, not choices. As I move through the facility, my eyes scan over equipment that's showing signs of wear-out, worn seals on a valve here, rust spots on exposed metal there. It's all part of the expected cycle. Infrastructure degrades with time and use, but repairs are routine. Maintenance is constant. The work is methodical, the repetition grounded. By midday, I've completed most of my assigned tasks, noting any deviations in my log for further review or repair scheduling. The day progresses like this, task after task, checklist after checklist, don't more. There's a rhythm to it all, a sense that each action has its place and purpose within the larger operation. As evening approaches, I return to the control room for final assessments before signing off for the night. Data stream stabilize as operations wind down. Alarms fall silent one by one. My console glows softly in the dimming light, reflecting the calm of a day well executed. I sign out with a sense of completion. Tasks done, systems secure. Tomorrow will bring more of the same. Checklists to follow, tasks to complete. I am here because this work is being done, and that's all there is to it. The humidity hangs heavy in the air, a thick layer that clings to every breath. As I move through my daily tasks, the sensation of moisture pressing against my skin becomes a constant presence, but it gradually fades into the background. The initial stickiness and discomfort are replaced by a mere awareness of the atmosphere's weight. Each time I step outside, the air feels dense and heavy, but after a few minutes, the sensation softens to a routine acknowledgement. My movements are mechanical, each action precise and practiced. The humidity is there, persistent yet subdued, like an old friend whose voice I no longer strain to hear in a crowded room. I focus on the readings from my sensors, adjusting settings with deliberate care. The air's moisture content fluctuates slightly throughout the day, but it doesn't demand attention anymore. Dawn's just part of the environment, a familiar backdrop to the tasks at hand. The distant hum of biological activity outside The rustling leaves and faint calls of unseen creatures echoes through my helmet speakers. At first, the sounds seem intrusive, competing for my focus with the immediate concerns of maintenance checks. But as the day progresses, they meld into a steady drone, another layer of background noise that does not require active attention. I move from one station to another, each task performed with practiced ease. The humidity is there, but it is no longer something I have to fight against or even notice actively. It is simply a condition of the world around me, part of the operational landscape. As the day winds down and I prepare for my shift's end, the air feels less oppressive. My senses are tuned to the rhythm of routine, and the humidity is just another element of that routine. It no longer distracts. It simply exists as a continuous presence, easily ignored in favor of more pressing tasks ahead. The planetar's life hums on beyond the walls of my station, but I am insulated from its constant activity by layers of metal and procedure. The day's work is done, and with it comes a quiet sense of accomplishment, reinforced by the fading awareness of the surrounding conditions that once held my attention captive. The day progresses through a series of synchronized motions. Each task transitions seamlessly into the next, merging individual efforts into a cohesive rhythm. The humidity presses in, but ETOS no longer a distraction. Instead, it becomes part of the backdrop, like the constant hum of machinery or the steady drip of water. My movements are fluid and practiced, each action measured and precise. Nearby, others move with the same mechanical efficiency, their presence marked by the careful placement of tools and the measured steps taken to reach workstations. No words are needed. Timing is everything. We shift from one station to another without pause, our roles interchangeable in this intricate dance of maintenance and repair. The air buzzes with unseen activity, but it is easy to ignore as hands follow familiar paths, fixing and replacing worn parts. Tasks blend into a continuous flow, each personnel's actions feeding into the next like gears, turning in unison. A component is replaced at one station, triggering a cascade of adjustments elsewhere. There is no room for individuality here. Only the smooth operation of the system matters. I am just another part of this intricate machine, my existence defined by my contribution to its ongoing function. As the day winds down, there is a sense of collective satisfaction. The tasks are completed without fanfare or recognition. Each person fades back into the rhythm of the environment, their individuality lost in the seamless operation of the system. There's no need for praise or acknowledgement. Our roles are clear and necessary, contributing to the enduring hum of activity that defines this place. The Dios tasks wind down with a quiet efficiency, each action smooth and practiced. The humid air presses close, but it holds no surprise. It's merely another constant in the daily cycle. My hands move over the console with familiar precision, fingers dancing across buttons and switches without hesitation. Each keystroke triggers responses that are as predictable as the rising sun. The mechanical hum of systems around me forms a backdrop to my thoughts, a steady pulse of operation that anchors everything else into place. There's no room for distraction here, only purpose and routine. My mind drifts, but always snaps back to the task at hand, guided by muscle memory and ingrained habit. As I complete another checklist item, a sense of quiet satisfaction settles in my chest. It is not joy or pride. Those emotions have long since faded into irrelevanza, but a simple acknowledgement that today's work is done, and tomorrow will bring more of the same. The rhythm of my days feels immutable, a dependable cadence that defines both routine and identity. The console lights flicker briefly as I save changes to the system logs, then return to their steady glow. Another daya's worth of data stored away, another cycle complete. My gaze wanders for a moment over the sprawling machinery, seeing not individual components, but an interconnected whole, each part playing its role. seamlessly. With one last glance at my monitor, confirming all systems are stable and reporting back to central control, I stand up and stretch. The muscles in my legs protest slightly from hours of immobility, but evoks a familiar discomfort, easily ignored. A quick scan of the area confirms everything is in order. Then I turn and head out into the corridor. The hallway stretches ahead, lined with identical doors leading to other stations, each humming with its own version of this quiet efficiency. My footsteps echo slightly on the metal floor as I make my way towards my quarters for a brief respite before the next shift begins. There is no sense of urgency or anticipation, just a steady march of time and duty. As I reach my door, my hand slides across the panel to unlock it, and the door glides open silently. Stepping inside, I pause briefly at the threshold, taking in the small room that serves as both shelter and sanctuary. The familiar Leaotana bed, a desk cluttered with essentials, a few personal items provides a sense of continuity amidst the broader monotony. Setting down my gear on the chair by the desk, I unfasten my helmet and exhale slowly, feeling the cool air inside more acutely than ever before. My eyes adjust to the dim light as I walk over to the small window, looking out at the forest canopy just beyond the station's edge. The leaves shimmer in the evening light, but they remain a distant reminder of life outside this sterile environment. With another look around my quarters, ensuring everything is in place for tomorrow, I turn off the lights and head towards bed. As I settle onto the mattress, closing my eyes, thoughts of the day's tasks fade away, replaced by a calm acceptance of what lies ahead. This is enough. There's no need to question or seek change. Tomorrow will bring more of the same, but the Hanan's fine too. Our routine is comfort in its own way. And so, with a contented breath, I drift off into sleep, ready for another day within this unyielding cycle. As the day progresses, each task becomes an essential component of the larger machine. The humidity and decay around me are merely operational variables, factors that I manage without emotional attachment. Every action is a calibration, ensuring that systems remain within safety margins. Output remains consistent, and schedules adhere to precision. The strictness of our routines is not imposed arbitrarily. Eton's a response to the environment's unpredictability. The harsh conditions necessitate rigid adherence to protocols to prevent breakdowns or failures. There are no heroes here, only roles that need filling up, roles that must be filled without hesitation if the system is to function optimally. The damage seen around us is not intentional, but eons a byproduct of our efforts to extract and stabilize resources in an unstable world. We do not romanticize the struggle or lament the weariness. It simply is what it has to be for us to survive and maintain operations. The systems we rely on are not perfect, but they have evolved through necessity rather than idealism. Satisfaction comes from knowing that my contributions today will ensure stability tomorrow. Each task completed without fanfare or emotion reinforces a sense of purpose within the larger framework. This is how it works because it has done no more, no less. Efficiency and reliability are not virtues for their own sake, but necessities dictated by conditions beyond our control. Tomorrow's monotony holds no threat. It promises continuity, a steady rhythm that defines both my identity and my contribution. The environment may be oppressive, but it is also predictable, manageable within the constraints of our systems. There is comfort in this predictability, in knowing that I am part of something greater than myself, even as individuality fades into the collective effort. The detachment from emotions like joy or pride serves a purpose. It allows for clear focus on tasks without distraction. Routine anchors thoughts amidst the mechanical hums and predictable cycles, offering a dependable cadence that sustains rather than drains. This is how it works because it has vera, no room for sentimentality in the face of necessity. In this context, efficiency is not a choice but a survival mechanism, a way to maintain stability within an ever-changing landscape. The rules we follow are not dictates from authority figures, but responses to conditions that demand strict adherence for operational integrity. This is how it works because it has taught every detail, every task, every routine contributes to the unceasing system's continuity. Tomorrow will bring more of the same monotony, and with each day's completion comes a sense of accomplishment in maintaining this essential rhythm. The detachment from motions allows for clear-headed focus on tasks that must be done, ensuring that the larger system remains intact and functional despite the challenges it faces. This is how it works because it has taught there is no room for deviation or doubt. When every moment counts towards stability and continuity, the extraction rate has stabilized today. Each unit of ore processed contributes to the overall yield, maintaining our output within acceptable margins. The machinery hums steadily, a symphony of efficiency that ensures we meet our projections without fail. Any deviation is noted and corrected immediately, ensuring no loss exceeds permitted tolerances. Today's throughput analysis shows slight improvements in processing speed, attributable to minor adjustments made over the past few days. These optimizations are critical for long-term sustainability, allowing us to extract resources more efficiently while minimizing environmental impact. The planetos terrain offers unique challenges that we must navigate with precision and adaptability. Each rock, each soil sample analyzed contributes data points that refine our operational parameters. Discomfort is merely an indicator of inefficiency, a signal that protocols need adjustment for optimal performance. By converting these signals into actionable metrics, we ensure the system functions seamlessly. The rate at which discomfort dissipates correlates directly with the effectiveness of our corrective measures. Eton's not about feeling better. Eton's about achieving equilibrium. The numbers tell us everything we need to know. Each unit processed is a step toward meeting our resource targets without compromising operational integrity. This predictability provides a sense of order, grounding daily activities in tangible objectives rather than abstract ideals. Efficiency breeds satisfaction, a quiet assurance that every action contributes meaningfully to the greater purpose. In this context, living things are reduced to quantities and rates. The planet is not merely a backdrop, but an integral part of our system, its variables constantly monitored and managed for optimal balance. Every adjustment made today will be reflected in future projections, guiding our approach with cold, rational precision. There is no room for sentiment, only the relentless pursuit of stability and efficiency. The detachment from emotions is liberating, God. It allows for sustained functionality without the interference of unnecessary feelings. Each day, we recalibrate, refine, and ensure that every unit extracted serves a clear purpose within the broader framework of our mission. This is how systems endure, their parts working in concert toward a unified goal, free from the vagaries of personal experience. The numbers speak for themselves, and adherence to protocols ensures continuity. Today's data will inform tomorrow's adjustments, creating a cycle of improvement that drives us forward with unwavering focus. The air is dense with the metallic tang of machinery, and the constant hum of generators echoes through the caverns. My eyes adjust to the dim light filtering from the flickering lamps, casting shadows that dance along the rough stone walls. Each breath feels heavy, pulling against my lungs as I navigate the narrow passageways. The temperature fluctuates with every shift in wind direction, a reminder of the natural forces we must contend with. My hands are calloused and steady, gripping the tools firmly as I work through the routine tasks. Every movement is measured, each action calculated to maintain efficiency. Sweat beads on my forehead but rolls off without distraction, another data point indicating the body's response to the environment. The rhythmic clang of metal against stone blends with the whirring of machinery, a symphony of productivity. Discomfort becomes a familiar signal, an indicator that I am operating at peak performance. Each ache and strain is cataloged internally, informing adjustments in technique or gear without pause. My mind processes the data, refining strategies to mitigate wear over time. The body's feedback loop is seamless, aligning with the system's demands. The landscape outside is indifferent, a vast expanse of rugged terrain and hidden dangers. Yet, it too serves its purpose, providing resources essential for our continued survival. Each challenge encountered reinforces the necessity of our efforts, confirming that every step taken contributes to a larger, unyielding goal. In this environment, stress means things are working as intended. Every breath, each heartbeat, aligns with the rhythms of this system. The cold precision of logic ensures continuity, and the body's responses serve as proof of functional efficiency. There is no room for sentimentality or hesitation, only action and adaptation. The heavy machinery hums beneath my grip, and I navigate through the narrow confines of the extraction tunnels. My breath forms a faint mist in the cool air, each inhalation and exhalation measured and precise. The rhythmic sound of metal scraping against rock is familiar, a steady beat that marks progress. A brief moment of hesitation flickers at the edge of my consciousness, a whisper of doubt about the routine what I've come to rely on. It taunts an anomaly, out of place in the ordered cadence of my actions. For a split second, the thought questions if there could be another way, but it is quickly dismissed as inefficiency. I remind myself that every action here serves a purpose, and deviation from established protocols is not just discouraged odd. It disrupts the system's delicate balance. Tunnel walls press in around me, their solidity a testament to the necessity of my work. There are no alternative paths or reasons for contemplation. There is only the task at hand. The discomfort I feel is merely an indicator that I need to recalibrate my focus. My movements become even more deliberate, each step in turn executed with cold precision. The manda's constant stream of data points temperature fluctuations, machine vibrations, resource yields provides a steady flow of information essential for optimization. There is no room for sentimentality or hesitation in this environment. Each breath is an affirmation that I am contributing to the larger purpose, ensuring continuity and stability within our system. The correction of my fleeting doubt feels not as punishment, but as a professional necessity, a sign of maturity and competence rather than mere obedience. As I move forward, the rational justification for every action solidifies my resolve. This is not about personal comfort or moral quandaries. It is about functionality and efficiency. My thoughts are clear, and my actions follow suit without any further distraction. The routine has solidified into an unbreakable pattern. Each day unfolds with a series of predictable challenges that are met with practiced efficiency. The physical demands and environmental pressures serve merely as variables to be managed, not obstacles to be overcome emotionally. This detachment from sentiment ensures that every action is guided by necessity rather than impulse. The discomfort, whether it is the oppressive heat or the biting cold, is simply another set of data points for optimization. Each breath in a narrow space, each step on shifting terrain, each interaction with machinery, calibrated to extract resources, all are meticulously choreographed to achieve maximum output. Any deviation from this protocol is seen not as a flaw, but as an opportunity for refinement. The mind processes these variables with clinical precision, adjusting techniques and strategies to enhance productivity without room for hesitation or doubt. There is no place for sentimentality here, only the cold, rational logic that sustains the system. The environment may be harsh, but it is understood as a necessary component of the operation, its challenges contributing to the greater purpose. In this framework, there is no space for moral questioning or personal reflection. Each task completed according to protocol brings a quiet satisfaction derived from the assurance that every action aligns with the collective effort. The system may not be ideal, but it is workable, and any deviation would only introduce inefficiency and instability. As I navigate through another day, each breath and movement reaffirm my place within this operational structure. The sense of purpose is unshakable, anchored by the necessity of maintaining continuity and stability. There is no room for personal sentiment or hesitation. Only action and adaptation align with the system's cold precision and logic. This correctness brings a settled assurance that every step taken is essential to the greater function. The day ends quietly, each task completed, each variable accounted for. The routine continues seamlessly into the night, reinforcing the unbreakable pattern of efficiency and necessity. Navigating the narrow corridors today feels more cumbersome than usual. The air is thick with an unidentifiable chemical scent that irritates my nasal passages, making every breath a chore. I pause to recalibrate my environmental sensors, adjusting them for this new variable. It is not unusual for conditions to shift. Adaptation is a constant process here. The routine tasks that once flowed effortlessly now require closer attention. As I move through the DIOS checklist, each step seems to demand an extra moment of deliberation. The machinery hums slightly louder, and minor vibrations in the floor suggest wear and tear beneath my feet. These are not failures, but signs of age and use, data points for future maintenance. I reach into a supply bin for the standard tools needed for the next procedure, only to find that some items appear misplaced or missing. A quick inventory check reveals discrepancies that would have been inconsequential weeks ago, but now necessitate additional time spent in organization. The environment itself seems to be introducing subtle obstacles, and I must respond accordingly. Despite the added complexity, my movements remain precise and methodical. Each action is guided by necessity rather than habit. I reroute power flows, recalibrate sensors, and meticulously document any deviations from protocol. These adjustments feel like minor irritants but are essential for maintaining functionality. The physical discomfort of navigating through tight spaces while carrying heavy equipment becomes more pronounced with each passing hour. Sweat beads on my brow as I strain to keep up the pace demanded by the system. Yet, every bead of sweat is a signal that something is off balance, prompting me to adjust my approach and seek minor optimizations where possible. The mind processes this information without hesitation or doubt. The cold logic dictates that these inefficiencies are temporary and manageable. Rational justifications fortify a sense of professional maturity and competence. Sentimentality or hesitation holds no place here. Only action and adaptation align with the system's precision and logic. As I conclude my shift, the usual quiet satisfaction is tinged with an underlying tension. The environmental's interference presses in like a persistent undertow, pulling at the edges of efficiency. Yet, each step remains essential, reinforcing the settled assurance that every adjustment brings us closer to stability within this workable but imperfect system. As I review today's operational metrics, something feels off. The numbers on the monitor display a steady state of efficiency and control, but the physical reality around me tells a different story. For instance, the temperature readings indicate stable conditions within acceptable ranges. Yet, there is an underlying hum that suggests machinery is straining to maintain balance. Each task requires more mental energy than usual to execute with precision. My hand movements are deliberate and accurate, but my mind works overtime to reconcile the discrepancies between expected outcomes and actual results. The system's feedback loops are designed to adjust automatically, yet I can feel a subtle lag in response times, as if the environment is not quite keeping pace. The latest environmental report confirms that everything is within parameters, but when I glance at the physical layout of my workspace, I notice signs of wear and slight misalignment that were previously unnoticed. These minor inconsistencies accumulate, making the familiar routines more demanding. I adjust my approach slightly, tweaking settings and recalibrating tools to compensate for these deviations. Eton's a process of fine-tuning, but there's an unsettling realization that this is becoming increasingly necessary just to maintain baseline functionality. The environment seems to be shifting in ways that aren't fully captured by the data models. As I proceed through my tasks, I find myself pausing more frequently to recalibrate my perceptions against reality. The disconnect between what should be and what is becomes harder to ignore. Eton's not a failure of the system or an outright malfunction. Rather, it feels like a subtle erosion of predictability that challenges my reliance on established norms. The physical sensations are telling me something different from the numbers. The air conditioning is not cooling as efficiently. The machinery emits fainter but more frequent warning beeps, and even the lighting seems to flicker ever so slightly. These small irregularities accumulate, creating a sense of dissonance that my rational framework struggles to reconcile. I continue with my tasks, adjusting settings incrementally and documenting each deviation meticulously. Eton's a methodical effort to bridge the gap between perceived stability and observed reality, but it feels like an ongoing battle against shifting sands rather than a clear-cut solution. Despite these challenges, I remain committed to my role and the system's integrity. Each adjustment brings temporary relief, yet the underlying sense of strain persists. The world around me is changing in ways that are harder to abstract away into neat metrics or projections. Eton's a subtle shift that requires constant vigilance rather than blind adherence to established protocols. In this moment, acutely aware of the tension between what my mind expects and what my senses perceive. This gap feels less like an anomaly and more like a fundamental shift in how reality is manifesting within the system. The day begins with the usual routine, but there's a persistent hum in the background that I can't shake. Eton's not loud or invasive, more of an insistent buzz that feels as though Eton's seeping into my bones, rather than just being heard through the ears. My fingers feel slightly numb when typing, and the air conditioning seems to oscillate between too cold and too warm without warning. I reach for rational explanations. Perhaps the equipment is malfunctioning, or there's a minor environmental disturbance. But these thoughts do little to alleviate the sensation of unease that accompanies each new anomaly. The hum grows louder as I concentrate on tasks, but it does not fade when I step away from my work and into quieter spaces. As I move through the day, every action feels slightly off-kilter. My steps are a bit heavier than usual, and there is an odd pressure in my head that shifts unpredictably. The sensory motif lingers, embedding itself deeper with each passing moment. Eton's, as if the environment is asserting its presence without any malicious intent, simply existing beyond the bounds of what I can easily control or rationalize. The discomfort becomes harder to ignore. My muscles tense up involuntarily, and my breaths come shorter, despite efforts to maintain composure. The hum morphs into a low, persistent vibration that seems to resonate through every fiber of my being. Yet, there is no immediate cause for alarm, no obvious threat or danger looming. I try to focus on the tasks at hand, breaking them down into smaller, more manageable parts. Each step feels like a battle against this pervasive background noise, which now seems inextricably linked to my senses and physicality. The hum does not dissipate even when I close my eyes or attempt to meditate. It does present regardless of what I do. The rational framework that once helped me navigate these challenges begins to fray at the edges. Explanations become less effective, as if the inconsistencies are too numerous and varied for neat categorization. The hum transforms from a mere annoyance into something more intrusive, yet not quite threatening enough to warrant dramatic action or panic. Despite this, I continue to push forward, driven by a sense of duty and professionalism. Each deviation is noted, analyzed, and accounted for, but the underlying tension remains. My body absorbs what abstraction cannot handle, leaving me with an ever-present awareness that reality is evolving in ways that challenge my established norms. The hum continues its relentless presence, weaving through every moment like a persistent thread. Itan's no longer just background noise. It's an unyielding companion that demands attention and adaptation, even as it defies easy resolution or dismissal. I need to recalibrate my perception once more. Itan's becoming increasingly clear that the hum is not just a minor disturbance, but an underlying factor affecting everything. Each adjustment feels like another step in a long, meticulous process. The logical framework I built up over time demands constant reaffirmation. The hum is persistent today, making it difficult to maintain focus on tasks at hand. It's essential not to let this distract from the core functionality of my routine. Reassuring myself that everything operates within acceptable parameters helps stabilize my mental state. The physical discomfort is noticeable but manageable, with consistent effort. Every action requires a bit more concentration than usual. My hands move precisely, guided by rational justifications that need restating. Each keystroke, each button press, these are familiar actions, yet they feel slightly altered by the pervasive hum. It's crucial to stay vigilant and remind myself of the underlying order governing this environment. The sensory feedback is increasingly complex, with new variables adding layers of challenge. Yet my actions remain methodical, driven by a deep-seated assurance that through meticulous control, stability can be maintained. The hum transitions from an annoyance to a constant intrusion, testing the limits of my rational explanations. I need to repeat this to myself. Every task is within manageable parameters. Each deviation is temporary and correctable. My mental state requires continuous reinforcement to counteract the dissonance between sensory input and logical reasoning. Each recalibration feels like a small victory in maintaining functionality. The hum persists, challenging my sense of control, but also reinforcing the need for meticulous attention. It's important not to let this disrupt the fundamental stability I established. Every adjustment is another step toward regaining balance, even as the underlying tension remains palpable. I must remind myself that these inconsistencies are temporary and manageable through disciplined effort. The hum continues to intrude but does not define the functionality of my environment. Each repetition of this reassurance feels like a necessary ritual to maintain composure and focus. The physical discomfort is present, yet it's crucial to view it as a minor variable rather than an insurmountable obstacle. Rational justifications continue to hold, even if they require more frequent restatement. My perception is conflicted, but also resilient, adapting to the evolving nature of this environment without losing sight of established norms. I need to reaffirm once again that everything operates within acceptable parameters, and that each deviation can be addressed with careful attention. The hum remains a persistent intrusion, yet it's essential not to let it undermine my sense of control. Each repetition of these reassurances feels like another layer in the protective framework I've built up. The hum continues its unyielding presence, testing the limits of my rational explanations, but also reinforcing the need for continuous adaptation and vigilance. Despite the added tension, there's an underlying assurance that through meticulous adjustments, stability can be achieved within this imperfect system. The hum persists, a constant background noise that feels almost like an echo of my thoughts. It's there, ever present, niggling at the edges of my concentration. I keep telling myself it's just another variable to manage, one more element in the intricate dance of equilibrium. Yet, Every time I try to focus on a task, this hum intrudes, making precision harder to achieve. The physical discomfort is also relentless today. Aches and twinges that demand attention. My muscles feel tight, tense, as if straining against an unseen force. I remind myself, "Itas, just the body's natural response to heightened vigilance, nothing more." Each movement becomes a conscious effort, a deliberate act of resistance against this underlying tension. Tasks that once were routine now require extra mental bandwidth. I have to recalibrate my approaches, adjust my methods, and constantly monitor for deviations. Eton's exhausting, but I push through, reassured by the familiar logic that everything can be managed with enough care and attention. The hum, however, does not let up. It stays there like a persistent whisper, questioning the very foundations of this stability. Despite the strain, I maintain my composure. Each step is carefully planned, each action meticulously executed. There is an unspoken understanding now that equilibrium is not something to be taken for granted. It needs to be actively maintained. The hum serves as a constant reminder of this new reality, challenging me to stay alert and focused. As the day progresses, I find myself pausing more often, checking in with both my environment and my own internal state. Every small adjustment brings temporary relief, but nothing feels truly settled. This is the new normal, a balance achieved through perpetual vigilance, a stability maintained only when watched closely. The hum continues unabated as evening falls, its presence unyielding. Yet, I remain resolute, ready to face whatever tomorrow may bring with the same disciplined effort and unwavering focus. The hum persists, a constant undercurrent that gnaws at the edges of my concentration. Each day brings its own set of adjustments, and today is no exception. The air feels heavier, carrying with it an almost tangible weight that strains my senses further. I notice a slight tremor in my hand as I work on a routine task, one that would normally be second nature. It's not just the hum. There is something else at play, an underlying shift that complicates everything. Tasks once straightforward now require more effort and time. A small oversight leads to a delay, causing a ripple effect throughout my schedule. This is not unusual in itself, mistakes happening, but the cumulative impact is noticeable. The environment responds with its own set of challenges. Equipment malfunctions more frequently, materials degrade faster than expected. These are facts, not judgments. My movements become more deliberate, each step carefully calculated to maintain progress despite the growing inefficiency. Physical discomfort adds another layer of complexity. My muscles tense in response to the constant hum, making even simple tasks feel like a strain. The tension manifests in headaches and fatigue, factors that I acknowledge but do little to mitigate beyond continuing my usual routines. The hum transitions from an intermittent disturbance to a pervasive presence, one that disrupts my sense of stability more profoundly with each passing day. Eton's not just a noise, it's a constant reminder of the shifting reality around me. Despite this, my actions remain methodical and controlled, driven by the need for continuity in a world where predictability is eroding. The cumulative effects are now visible beyond mere data points. Equipment shows signs of wear that were not there before. Materials break down more quickly, and tasks take longer to complete. These outcomes are tangible, not just abstract concerns on a spreadsheet. The environmental degradation is evident, a gradual loss that I treat as an operational reality. I continue working, adapting my methods with each new challenge. Each deviation from the norm requires recalibration, but these adjustments come at a cost. The hum tests my resolve, pushing me to maintain composure through disciplined effort and continuous monitoring. Despite the growing complexity, there is no room for complacency. Every task demands vigilant attention. The persistent hum serves as an unyielding reminder of the new reality I must navigate. It challenges my sense of control, but also strengthens my determination to manage the situation with meticulous precision. The outcomes are clear. Tasks take longer, equipment fails more often, and physical discomfort becomes a constant companion. These are facts, not judgments. They simply are. I continue because stopping is no longer an option. Each day brings new variables. Each challenge demands adaptation. Despite the strain, there is a resolve to keep moving forward, one step at a time. The constant hum remains a steady presence in the background, an unrelenting reminder of the new reality I'm navigating. My body continues to betray me with headaches and fatigue, but I push through it as if my life depends on it, which in many ways it does. The tasks that once felt routine now require meticulous planning and effort just to maintain a semblance of normalcy. I start the day by reviewing the data streams, noting the usual anomalies and irregularities with a practiced eye. Each discrepancy is logged methodically, even though the underlying reasons are increasingly unclear. I move on to initiating recalibration sequences for the systems that are showing signs of strain. It is a delicate dance of input and output, where every adjustment risks triggering more complications. The physical toll accumulates, but the mental rigidity holds firm. Every task is approached with a heightened sense of urgency, as if there's no time to waste on contemplation or doubt. I do not dwell on the implications. Instead, I focus on executing the next step without hesitation. The hum grows louder during these moments, almost like a mechanical echo of my own relentless pace. Despite the strain, I persist in my routine checks and maintenance cycles. Each cycle completes with incremental success or failure, but there's no room for reflection. The immediate demands dictate the course of action, leaving little space to consider the broader implications. Each is a pattern that repeats itself endlessly. Assess, adjust, and proceed. The world outside remains indifferent to my struggles. Nature continues its cycles mechanically, without sentiment or judgment. I am just another variable in this vast equation, an entity bound by rules far beyond my comprehension. Yet, within this framework, there is a grim acceptance. Stopping would only amplify the chaos. Continuation feels like the only stable option. The day progresses with no discernible relief. Each task completed brings a fleeting sense of accomplishment, but the next challenge looms just as dauntingly. The hum continues to pulse through the environment, an unyielding constant that I must keep pace with. There is no room for questions or introspection, only action and adaptation. As night falls, my resolve remains intact despite the weariness. The routine checks continue, even if their effectiveness is in doubt. Each cycle completed reinforces a sense of duty, not defiance. This is what I do now. Navigate the shifting landscape with disciplined effort, maintaining function through relentless persistence. The hum fades slightly into the background as the systems settle into their new patterns for the night. But it will return tomorrow, just as my resolve does, ready to face another day of unyielding tasks and unrelenting reality. The headaches have become a constant companion, their rhythm familiar yet unwelcome. Each pulse of discomfort serves as a reminder of the strain I carry, a physical manifestation of the mental load that refuses to abate. The tasks once simple now demand more effort than they should. Each step forward feels like an uphill battle against inertia. The hum is ever present, a constant backdrop to my thoughts. Its mechanical nature underscoring the relentless progression of events beyond my control. Adjustments are made, but they feel less like solutions and more like band-aids on open wounds. The systems around me continue their purposeful march forward, absorbing individual concerns into an indifferent whole. Fatigue creeps in at unexpected moments, a silent thief stealing away my reserves bit by bit. Despite this, There is no room for rest. The duties remain, pressing against the edge of capability with unyielding force. Each task completed feels like a small victory, but the victories are dwarfed by the looming challenges that stretch endlessly before me. I acknowledge the toll without judgment. The impact registers as fact, not reflection. There is no space within to contemplate or question. Only action and adaptation persist. Grim acceptance colors my approach on not defiance nor resignation on, but a pragmatic understanding of necessity. Continuation is the path chosen by default, the lesser chaos of movement over stagnation. The world around me shifts in small increments, each change requiring adjustment, but offering little respite from the ongoing pressure. Systems adapt at scale, absorbing individual concerns into their vast machinery, without pause or hesitation. My role within this framework feels increasingly procedural, a cog in an ever-turning wheel that knows no rest. Recognition of damage is stark and clear, yet it holds no leverage for change. The hum continues unabated, the headaches persist, and fatigue remains constant. Each day I push forward with resolve, not out of defiance, but because stopping would mean yielding to chaos, a choice untenable in its implications. The constant hum of the machinery echoes through my mind, an ever-present reminder of the relentless demands imposed upon me. Each day brings a fresh wave of physical and mental strain, yet thereon's no respite from the tasks that must be completed. The headaches persist, their sharp edges gnawing at my concentration, but I push forward, driven by a sense of duty rather than comfort. The routine is an intricate dance of necessity, where each small victory feels like a fragile shield against the encroaching chaos. Every task accomplished is a step toward stability, yet the challenges loom larger with each passing moment. There is no room for introspection, only action and adaptation. The hum of the machinery serves as a constant backdrop, its rhythm dictating the pace of my day. Fatigue settles in like an oppressive weight, dragging me down even as I struggle to keep moving. Each breath becomes labored, each step more deliberate, yet there is an unyielding resolve within me, a stubborn insistence on pressing onward despite the toll it takes. The routine is mechanical, but the consequences are real. Adjustments come in small increments, temporary patches that offer fleeting relief without addressing the underlying issues. These minor changes feel like victories in isolation, but they do little to alleviate the broader strain. Each day brings new layers of complexity, and the hum grows louder as I navigate these challenges. The system operates with a relentless momentum, favoring continuation over correction. The procedural incentives are clear. Adherence to established routines yields stability, while deviation leads to uncertainty. This unyielding structure demands constant effort, yet it offers no respite from the physical and mental toll. There is an implicit pressure to maintain the status quo, even as it becomes increasingly burdensome. I see myself as a small cog in this vast machine, my actions contributing to its ongoing function without altering its fundamental nature. Each task completed is a necessary component of the larger system, but the cumulative effect is weariness and strain. The hum persists, a constant reminder that continuation is the only viable path, despite the mounting consequences. Despite the fatigue and discomfort, there is an underlying sense of inevitability to my actions. Resistance would be futile. Continuation is the only logical response. Each day I push forward, adapting mechanically to maintain stability, recognizing the toll it takes without questioning its necessity. The hum continues, a mechanical symphony that defines this new reality. The headaches pulse in a familiar rhythm, a steady reminder of the days ahead. Each morning brings a new set of tasks that seem to stretch endlessly before me. The hum of machinery blends into the background noise, an unchanging soundtrack to my daily routine. Fatigue is constant, but manageable. I push through each task with a sense of duty, finding small victories in the completion of mundane chores. Yet these accomplishments feel hollow against the backdrop of looming challenges that never seem to lessen in scope or intensity. Each success is fleeting, offering only temporary relief before the next wave hits. The world around me has shifted irrevocably, and I adapt as best I can. Headaches are now a part of my daily reality, accepted with grim resignation. Physical strain takes its toll, but there is no room for introspection or contemplation. Only action remains relevant, each step forward an acknowledgement of the new operational baseline. The constant hum serves as both an oppressive presence and a relentless call to continue. It reminds me that I am part of something larger than myself, a cog in a machine that keeps turning regardless of personal cost. The system requires my contribution, and I provide it without question or hesitation. As the days blend together, the awareness of damage becomes normalized within my psyche. There is no urgency left, only an acceptance of ongoing function. Each task completed is a testament to perseverance rather than defiance. This is how things are now, and so they will continue to be. The constant hum of the machinery is a familiar backdrop, an unyielding presence that never ceases. Each day begins with the same routine, waking to the dull drone, the headache already forming at the base of my skull. I move through the morning task saw, preparing meals, cleaning up, all while the background noise pulses steadily. The environment around me is altered, a landscape sculpted by previous extraction efforts. The air feels thick and heavy, carrying an underlying scent of something metallic and artificial. This is the new normal, a reality where nature has been replaced with synthetic elements that hum quietly in their function. Fatigue settles into my bones as I work through the day's tasks. Every movement feels labored, each breath drawn more slowly than before. Yet, there is a resolve within me, a determination to keep going despite the toll it takes. Each completed task is a small victory, but they offer little respite from the larger challenges that loom ahead. The hum of machinery serves as both an oppressive reminder and a call to action. It tells me what needs doing without words, guiding my movements through the day. There is no room for contemplation or introspection. Only the relentless push forward is required. This is the rhythm, E-octave, adapted to a procedural existence that requires no questioning. As evening approaches, I prepare for sleep, another cycle beginning anew with the same unchanging hum. The headaches persist, but they are familiar now, like old friends in this altered world. Acceptance of my role here feels less like resignation and more like inevitability. The sense of duty drives me forward, a mechanical continuation that ensures stability amidst the shifting reality. The environmental's artificial elements blend into the background, part of the fabric of daily life. Adjustments are superficial, offering temporary relief, but never addressing deeper issues. This is where I am now, living inside a settled result, navigating a terrain sculpted by past decisions without room for alternatives or reflection. The hum continues, and with it, my routine persists. The noise hums persistently as I begin the day. It's a familiar drone that guides my actions, filling the void of silence with its constant presence. My tasks unfold in a predictable rhythm. Cleanse the surfaces, recalibrate the systems, monitor the outputs. I move through the sterile corridors, each step echoing slightly against the polished walls. The air is cool and dry, devoid of natural scents or breezes. There's no need to question why I do what I do. It's simply a part of my existence now. The cleanse cycle is straightforward. I spray, wipe, repeat. Each surface requires attention, its condition meticulously recorded in the system logs. The data streams back, confirming compliance and readiness for the next cycle. Nothing more needs to be thought about these routines. They exist outside of meaning or purpose. Recalibration follows without pause. Adjusting the settings according to the prescribed parameters ensures stability within this contained environment. It's a mechanical process, each adjustment validated by a series of green lights before proceeding to the next stage. There is no room for deviation. Adherence is critical for maintaining order. Monitoring the outputs involves reviewing data streams and making minor adjustments where necessary. The screens display endless rows of numbers and graphs, their patterns reassuringly consistent. I note any anomalies, but there are rarely deviations worth noting. Each day's outputs align closely with expectations, signaling continued functionality. The noise continues unabated, a constant backdrop to these tasks. Tone's not intrusive. It is simply part of the fabric of this existence. My movements through the space follow established paths, each corridor and room holding its place in an unchanging layout. Fatigue sets in gradually but is managed by routine. There's no need for rest beyond scheduled intervals programmed into the system. When the time comes to pause, I do so mechanically, allowing the body to recharge before resuming tasks with renewed vigor. This cycle repeats without end or alteration. Each day blends seamlessly into the next, marked only by the passage of time and the completion of cycles within it. There's no need for reflection. There are simply continuity in function. The hum continues, a steady pulse that guides my actions. I move through the routine with practiced precision, each step calculated and predictable. Cleaning the chamber again, wiping down surfaces until they gleam under artificial light. The sterile air fills my lungs without complaint, as neutral as the tasks I perform. My fatigue is a constant companion, but it no longer demands attention. Etons, managed within the strict parameters of programmed interval saw, rest when needed, work when required. There is no room for deviation or personal will. Each task flows into the next with mechanical inevitability. The persistent noise fills my ears, an unyielding presence that keeps me focused on the immediate. Etons not oppressive, but necessary, a reminder of the rhythm I must maintain. My hands move automatically, scrubbing and sanitizing without thought, conditioned to respond to this environment. There is no desire for change or escape. These actions are simply what is expected. The world outside remains distant, irrelevant to the duties at hand. Each day is a repetition of the last, yet it is the only reality I know. I complete another cycle, marking my progress with methodical efficiency. There is no sense of achievement or disappointment, merely an acknowledgement that one more task has been completed as required. The hum continues, and so do I. The hum continues, a steady pulse marking time's passage. Each day unfolds with the same precision as its predecessor. I move through tasks without pause or hesitation, my actions guided by ingrained routines rather than any internal drive. The environment is familiar now, stripped of all but essential elements, yet this does not make it comforting. It simply exists as a backdrop against which duties are performed. The monotony is unremarkable, each action following the next with mechanical inevitability. There's no room for thought or feeling. Everything is reduced to function and repetition. The hum serves as an anchor, grounding me in this altered reality where nothing breaks but everything endures. Fatigue settles in gradually, a constant companion that I acknowledge without resistance. It follows its own rhythm, blending seamlessly with the dias cycles. Sleep comes at programmed intervals, restorative yet brief, and I await to continue the unbroken chain of tasks. The replacement is efficient, filling gaps left by absence with procedural order. There is no sense of loss or longing, only the relentless forward motion, dictated by necessity. Each day mirrors the last, a continuous loop where meaning does not reside, but continuity prevails. Tasks are completed without question, their purpose clear, yet devoid of personal investment. The hum provides the necessary backdrop, ensuring that each action aligns with predetermined patterns. There is no room for deviation. Adherence to routine is absolute. In this existence, absence is compensated by procedure. Substitution avoids reflection, and comfort comes from repetition rather than any deeper understanding or emotional connection. Everything still works, just differently. Fatigue settles into a familiar groove, dulling edges without pause. The hum continues its steady pulse, guiding hands and feet through another series of motions. There is no desire to question the rhythm or seek comfort in moments that might once have held significance. Tasks merge into one another seamlessly, each step building on the last with mechanical precision. The sterile room offers no distractions. Walls are a blur as eyes move from one task to the next without pause. The sense of detachment is complete, leaving behind any remnants of yearning or frustration. Each breath follows the same predictable path, blending into the background noise without interruption. Sleep comes at programmed intervals, providing a brief respite before the cycle restarts. Awakening brings no surprise, only a return to the familiar monotony. The hum guides the transition back to active duty with unwavering consistency. Routine continues without fanfare or deviation. There is no room for contemplation or